What does it mean as an autistic person to work in a job that focuses more on the people? So, this one is a really important topic to talk about because one of the foundational experiences of being autistic is struggling with socialization, having friendships, having relationships, understanding social norms, all that kind of stuff, right? And this doesn't just impact our interpersonal relationships, but this also profoundly impacts our capacity to show up in the workplace, to interact with our coworkers, interact with our boss, interact with customers. The amount of work it takes for us to do it is not sustainable. It burns us out. It causes health issues over time, mental health crises sometimes as well. And so this is an aspect of jobs that I think a lot of autistic people have to very, very seriously consider when they are thinking about their future jobs or whatever jobs they're looking to work in. Finding a job that prioritizes people over everything else looks like working at a job where you are surrounded by like-minded people. And like-minded could mean many things. Like-minded could mean that you guys have the same values. Like-minded could mean you guys have similar personalities. Like-minded could mean that you guys have similar goals. Like-minded could also mean you guys have similar interests. And I find that when you are looking for jobs that naturally attract other people who have the same interests and passions as you, it's a lot easier for you to function at that job. Because automatically, when people have similar niche interests, it kind of indicates things about their mind, personality, value systems that you don't have to look for intentionally. For example, if you work at a zoo, you could kind of suspect that everyone who works there has some sort of affinity towards animals, some sort of passion towards animals. And oftentimes, animal lovers are going to have a specific type of personality. You know what I'm saying? Or if you work at a museum, an historical museum, for example, you're gonna probably be surrounded by people who have some sort of interest towards historical information, historical artifacts. And these are things that will make it a lot easier for an autistic person to fit in, to socialize, to understand other people, to even relate to other people. And that's the thing, just as a baseline, you guys should be able to respect each other and to exist symbiotically at the workplace. That means you're not butting heads. That means you guys aren't constantly misunderstanding each other, assuming the worst of each other, gossiping about each other. You should at least be peacefully working alongside each other, right? The next level above that is you guys enjoy each other, right? This is a coworker you actually look forward to seeing. This is a coworker you might even consider hanging out with outside of work. Or this is a coworker that you would enjoy talking to at work and you guys are friends at work. As an autistic person, you should at least be at peace with your coworkers, if not enjoy being around your coworkers, because if you don't necessarily get those needs met outside of work in your interpersonal relationship, you should at least be getting those needs met at work. Because if you already have to go to work because you have to make money, you should at least enjoy the people you're around when you go show up at work. And that actually makes the job 10 times more sustainable than anything else. Because let's say you're an autistic person that goes to work at the zoo. You don't really care for sweeping up the floors or selling tickets so much as it is seeing your coworkers and looking forward to talking to them, being around them. And that's another aspect of this, is that autistic socialization isn't necessarily conversational based. We don't necessarily want to socialize with other people in a way where we're talking to them all the time. A lot of autistic folks actually get their social needs met by being next to people. So even if you're not directly interacting with them verbally, we actually feel just as fulfilled, if not more fulfilled, by simply being around others, listening to their conversation, doing tasks but alongside each other. It's like parallel play in that way, but parallel work. So you're working and doing the thing, but you're doing it next to people that you actually enjoy being around. And you're not dreading being around them or scared to be around them because you don't know how they're judging you. Either way, these are ways to get your social needs met. And these are also ways that you make the job you're working a lot more fulfilling, a lot more sustainable for you. Because if you're not getting those needs met at your work or your personal life, it is just a matter of time before you burn out or your mental health deteriorates to a point where you can't function and you can't work. And when you're looking for a people-based job, I don't want you guys to think about things that you necessarily love unless it's very niche and you know that you would get along with those types of people. I want you guys to think about the type of person you would get along with. Because for me, the types of people I would get along with, for example, would work in places and work jobs that I wouldn't necessarily be good at or be interested in. Does that make sense? So just because I would technically get along with people who work at the zoo or who make video games doesn't mean that I necessarily enjoy video games or enjoy being at the zoo. But I get along with people who would be interested in those things. So that's something to consider here. Think about the types of people that you would actually enjoy being around and look for jobs in those places. And likewise, the things that you would be good at. You may not necessarily get along with those types of people who would also be good at it and would also work there. Does that make sense? And that's a huge distinguisher because let's say you're an engineer and you can only work engineering jobs. That doesn't necessarily mean that you would get along with other engineers or feel fulfilled by those types of friendships. Or just because you're a fashion designer doesn't mean that you necessarily get along with other people in the fashion world. This is something that I had to consider multiple times throughout my young adulthood when working jobs is the things that I was good at didn't necessarily equate to me getting along with the people that found themselves working at those jobs. Just consider that. So examples of people-based jobs, again, passionate about the same things, having mutual interests, there's collaboration there, there's a baseline of respect, there is curiosity, is being a research team member. Obviously, if you're going into research, you're researching something specific, and most of the time, not all the time, there's going to be people going to that job because they're interested in that specific type of research. Editorial team, what that could look like is a publishing house, a niche magazine, academic press. Film crew, so cinematographer, editor, designer roles. I find that film crews are always a very specific type of person. I went to an art school, actually. That might be surprising for some of you to hear. And I remember anytime I had classes with film students, they were such a specific type of person. So I always feel like film crews are very close-knit and very specific personality types. Museum collections team. So again, different types of museums, I feel like will attract a specific type of person or a specific type of personality because, I mean, think about it. An art museum would have very different employees compared to a historical museum. So just think about your personality type or the personality type of people you would get along with and consider stuff like that. A special effects design team, small nonprofit team with focused missions like arts, environment, disability rights, etc. Library or a special collections archive team. I feel like, again, libraries kind of attract a specific type of person. Libraries, bookstores, things like that. Zoos. I feel like zoos attract a very specific type of person. I know I said zoos a lot, but I honestly feel like zoos attract a lot of neurodivergent employees. And I actually do think I saw a TikTok a few weeks ago where someone was talking about how they suspect that a lot of the zoo employees are autistic or neurodivergent. And a lot of the comments literally were like, I'm literally autistic and I work at a zoo. So yeah, zoos. An indie game studio team, an artisan guild, craft co-op, things like that. So these are examples of jobs that would attract a certain type of person because of the job itself or the environment. And these types of people have a specific type of personality, a specific type of interest that makes it easier for you to be around them, relate to them, socialize with them. I hope I gave you guys a good baseline to work off of. If you guys have any suggestions, please leave them in the comment section down below. If you guys have found a job that you're happy with because of the people that you're talking to and interacting with, please share that, because it's not just you sharing your experience, but you're actually adding to resources that could profoundly help another autistic person out there. And we all need to start sharing our resources more and more, because this is how we build community. This is how we support each other, right? And community support is so important for people like us, marginalized people, disabled people, when we are living in a society that doesn't give us the support we need. We have to at least support each other in that way. And information is support at this point. So comment down below. Like always, make sure you guys take some time today to regulate yourselves, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.